Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. So, we all know that the war has begun between Russia and Ukraine. That's what this video is going to be about. But I don't want everybody going out and panicking and thinking the world is coming to an end, because right now it's not. We need to be praying, obviously, for the people in Ukraine. I can only imagine the fear that they are going through right now and the chaos. They are under a complete countrywide martial law. You have the bombardments coming from every possible direction, right? So we definitely need to pray for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. But this is not the time for those of us that live in the United States to be panicking. We do, however, have to be aware. There's several things that we need to make sure that we are keeping a really close eye on. So, the first thing, obviously, is the price of gas and fuel. That's probably going to be the financial impact is probably going to be the first thing that we as Americans will feel as an impact from the war over in Europe. So, as we've said 1,000 times, you need to make sure that everything is full, right? And I'm going to do 2 lists today just because I feel like with everything moving so quickly that I need to get this video out, because if this is the last video that I'm able to do, God forbid, then I want you to have as many tools for survival as you can get. So bear with me through this video as I talk about some of the possible immediate threats, some of the longer term threats, and then I'm going to give you 2 lists that I hope will help you when it comes to your prepping. Okay? So we already know that the the stock market right now, the United States stock market, is very fluid. We're super far down, and then we go up. I think we ended up 6 or 8 points up today, but we start out at 800 points down. So it's very volatile right now. Nobody knows really which direction that's going to go in the coming days and weeks. However, if China decides that this is the time for them to take Taiwan because of certain circumstances, you can probably be guaranteed that our stock market will crash simply because of all of the exports and imports that come from China and the exports that go out. So you can almost be guaranteed in a stock market crash if China decides to invade Taiwan at the same time that all of this is going on in Europe. Keep in mind that this invasion does not just affect Russia and Ukraine. Lithuania declared a state of emergency today. Poland is taking in all of these refugees. And we have a lot of the NATO forces on the western side of Ukraine. And so all of these countries right now are being affected, although Ukraine obviously is the one that's being impacted the most at the moment. But as I said, this is a very fluid situation. This could change at any time. If Russia decides that they want to go after the NATO supported countries, that's going to be a completely different scenario. Okay? So how could we possibly be affected? As I said, the oil prices, the gas prices could skyrocket. I'm talking $6, $7, $8 a gallon. So that's something you need to prepare for right now. On top of that, we have the cyber attacks. Russia has very clearly stated that they have no problem targeting any country very harshly that intervene in this Ukrainian-Russian war. So what would those cyber attacks look like? Well, they could come at us from different ways. It could be denial of service attacks. It could be a targeting of bank or financial institutions. It could be our critical infrastructure, specifically our power grids and our satellites. It could be social media. It could be your online retail service. Amazon all of a sudden could be shut down, and you wouldn't be able to get the goods and services from there if that's who you order from. We definitely would expect more censorship from social media, more propaganda put out, right? Nobody's really going to know what to think about what's really going on, or have access to the real truth about what's going on, or how far Russia has been willing to push this. So, and all of this is going to impact our ability to see kind of what's coming next. So we have to be constantly aware, not panicking, okay? Let that fear, if you have that fear, let that fear drive you to doing what you need to prepare for that survival. Don't let that fear overwhelm you and sort of lock you into this moment, okay? Let it give you the drive and the willpower to do what's necessary to prepare for your survival. So all of that being said, nobody really knows how far Russia's willing to push this. Nobody knows at this, well, at least we don't. I don't. If you do, please put it in the comments below. But I don't know what Chinese thoughts are. I know that they are supporting the Russians, but does that mean that they are now going to take advantage of this and move into Taiwan? Is Russia going to move into any of the NATO countries? We don't know any of that right now. So it's not a time to panic. It's a time to raise that level of alertness and awareness to what's going on. So I'm going to give you the first list is the things that already should be done at this point, especially if you have been prepping for a while and you have this knowledge. If you have not been a prepper for a while, then these are things that you should be doing tomorrow. Okay? So the first thing is, obviously, fill your gas tanks, fill your propane tanks, fill your diesel tanks. And I've said that before, and you will hear me say it 1,000 times again. Okay? Make sure that all of that is filled. The second thing, make sure that your vehicles are maintained. So make sure they have had their oil changes. Make sure they're full of gas. Make sure all of your fluids are full. Your windshield wiper fluid, brake fluid, power steering fluid. And for those that understand this, your blinker fluid. Okay, you want to make sure that your vehicles are completely maintained. Check your tire pressures, right? Check the tread on your tires. If you have to bug out, and you have to bug out a long distance, you want to make sure that your vehicle will get you that far. Okay? Your guns should be cleaned, locked, and loaded. Okay? If you've been firing on them, if you've been practicing with them, you need to make sure that they are cleaned, locked, and loaded. You need to make sure that your alternative comms are set up. So if the power grid goes down and you have no way to communicate either through cell phone or getting news through a TV or whatever, make sure that your two-way radios, your emergency radios, your CBs, your ham radios, make sure that they are all operational. Now is the time to be doing this if you haven't already done this. Okay? Go through your bug out bags. Make sure your bug out bags are stocked with what you would need, and make sure that you are carrying them in your vehicles. Okay? You know, I even have a hard time throwing a bug out bag when I'm driving into the nearest town, which is 10-15 minutes away. But the reality is, if we get hit by an EMP, it's 15 below at night, right? We're at 12 above during the day. I will not make it home. I will freeze to death if I don't have the necessary items in my car to keep me warm and get me home safely. So make sure that you are getting into that habit of having your get home bag or your bug out bag. If you have two different ones, you need to be having those with you no matter where you go. Okay? Put fresh batteries in everything that requires batteries. Charge all your batteries. Okay? Make sure that all your flashlights and your radios and anything that you have that require batteries, make sure that those are fresh batteries and freshly charged. Okay? Make sure you have cash on hand. I will say this in almost every vehicle. Get your money out of the banks. That should already have been done. You need to get your cash out of the bank. If you have to keep enough in there to cover bills, I understand that. But anything, I don't care if it's $2, take it out. Get it in cash. Okay? This one came from another prepping source. Take a current picture of your family and print it out. What better push or there's a word I'm looking for. Who are you fighting for? Who are you surviving for? Okay, it's your family. It's your loved ones. So get a picture of your current family together and print it out. Print out a couple of copies so that you and or your spouse have a copy of it. Right? That is going to be a driving force for survival. When all hell is breaking out loose around you, it reminds you who you are fighting for. Make sure that your toolbox is ready. Make sure that all your power tools are fully charged up and ready to go. Keep them on the chargers if you can, so that they're constantly fully charged. Okay? Charge all of your electronics. So, and then again, keep them charged. So your laptops, your digital cameras, your cell phones, all of these things you should make sure are fully charged and keep them charged, just as with your power tools, if you can. Because then at the last minute, if that power goes out, everything is fully charged. Okay? And then something that sometimes gets overlooked is make sure that you're buying those extra shoes, those extra wool socks, the extra jackets, all of these extra things. If you know where the gaps are in your prep supplies, now is the time to make sure that you've got those gaps filled, whether it's medical, food, water, ammo, whatever that may be. Now is the time. Pet food, right? If you have young ones, make sure that you have the diapers, the formula, anything that you might need for them. your medications. Try to get a 60-day supply if you can. Okay? Now is the time to be doing that. Not a week from now. Do what you can afford. Figure out what you can do without. And I said this in my last video. Figure out what you can do without. But the things that you absolutely need, you need to be getting now. Okay? So that's the list of what you need to either already have done or that you need to be doing like tomorrow. Okay? And again, it's not because you're in a panic. This is survival. This is preparedness. Okay? It's preparing for anything that might come our way. Right now, at this moment, we don't know which direction that's going to come. You want to be prepared for it. When SHTF happens, these are some things that you might want to consider doing. And some of these are repeats of prior videos about, like the top 5 things that you should be doing as soon as SHTF happens. But this goes into a little bit more detail. So obviously, fill everything with water. Okay? Second thing, wash all your clothes and all of your dishes. You don't want to start SHTF with a sink full of dirty dishes that you can't wash or can't wash right away. And you certainly don't want to start with dirty clothes. Okay? Especially if you are limited in your closet. So just, it's kind of like, okay, SHTF has happened. We need to have sort of everything in its place, right? It gives you that personal sense, I guess, that, okay, we're ready, right? But if you've got a pile of dirty laundry and a pile of dirty dishes, you haven't dusted in a while, you haven't vacuumed in a while. I know, I live in a house, I try to vacuum, but I have a lot of animals and a child and a lot of in and out company. So that is something that is a routine thing, is just trying to make sure that the house is clean. Again, it's one of those, okay, we can breathe, we're ready, right? Another thing, and again, this was brought up on another prepper channel, consider cutting all of your hair and your beards. So if you have a large maid group coming in, long hair is really difficult to, you have issues with wood ticks. If you have a lot of people in an enclosed environment, you could have issues with lice. You want to make sure, or at least consider, making sure that everybody's hair is cut short and all of the facial hair is trimmed. And part of the reason for that too is if SHTF is a longer term event and you don't have a way to trim that beard or cut that hair, think of what that's going to look like 2 years down the road. Okay? You want to come into SHTF ready for it. Just something to consider. I'll leave it up to you to decide if that's right for you. The next thing, make sure that your home is fortified. Board up your windows. You should already make sure your security system, your defensive system is in place, ready to go. But it's at this time that you want to make sure that your windows are boarded or painted or whatever you're doing, so that you can create those kill zones, and you have concealment and cover and all of that stuff. Just make sure that all of that's there, okay? You may want to do a last supply run. Again, filling in those gaps in your preps. If you have cash on hand and the power grid's out, there are some places that might take cash. You might want to consider doing a supply run, your last one. Take a hot shower or a bath. My husband and I were having this conversation the other day about, what if this was the last shower? What if I showered this morning and SHTF happened this afternoon and I had no more hot water for a while? Oh my gosh, right? And again, it's that, okay, you can take that deep breath that I've showered, I've cleaned my house, my dishes are done, my laundry's done. It just gives you that mental strength and calmness, I guess, in some ways, that you are ready to face this. So think about that, because who knows how long it will be before you get that calm, relaxing, hot shower or bubble bath. So just something to think about. Liquefy anything that you can. That's going to be really hard after an SHTF has already occurred. Okay, it's not like you're going to be all of a sudden able to sell an extra vehicle. But the point of that is, if you haven't already done so and it's a major SHTF, that might be the time to completely clear out your bank account, right? Your savings if you have one, checking if you have one, just getting anything out that you can. Because at that point, are you really worried about paying your bills? No, you're worried about survival. Okay? Something to think about. The next one, have a feast with your family. Have the Last Supper, right? Favorite foods, have them in your freezer or fridge so that if SHTF happens, you are going to eat like a king, because it's probably the last time you're going to eat like a king. Enjoy it with your loved ones, whether it's your mag group, your family, whoever it is that is with, preferably a mag group, but take that moment to savor that food, savor those relationships that you have. Because in an SHTF, especially if you are having to go on the offensive, you don't know who's going to be there when it's all over. And so you want to really create that memory. Take a picture of it if you can. If you still have a cell phone, if we still have power and you can print that out, do it. Because you don't know who's going to be left when it's all done. Take all of your garbage out. Again, it's a health thing, right? It's a hygiene thing. You don't want to start an SHTF with full garbage bags, full litter boxes. Clean out your litter boxes. Put fresh litter in there. Put fresh garbage bags in there and get that garbage out of the house. We have a spot that we tend to throw cardboard until we either get it to recycling or we put it outside in a specific spot. That would all have to go out immediately. Okay? Again, it's one of those, okay, we're ready. Bake some cookies if you can. The smell of homemade chocolate chip cookies, it was one of my older kids' favorite smells, that and fresh bread. Bake some homemade cookies. And again, absorb the smells and what that makes you feel like, because you don't know how long it's going to be before you can bake those cookies. Can any remaining food that you have, okay? If you've got food in your freezer, food in your fridge that you can easily, quickly can, do it. We've already done a video on how you can use up those resources. But if you have the ability in that immediate aftermath to can that food, can it, because it will last longer. Another prepping person had talked about, if you know that an SHTF is coming, or maybe it's happened in the morning, but there's still like that get ready time, and you have things that you want to get done, go rent some heavy equipment. Usually you can rent it for 2 days, but if an SHTF is happening at that moment, you might be able to rent it, and then you can get everything done, because in an SHTF, who's going to care if that heavy equipment's back? They've got families. I know that's being a little bit anti-Christian, kind of dishonest, but remember that this is all about survival. And at that point, your purpose is survival and helping your mag group, your family, your loved ones, your friends, whoever it is, survive whatever this is. And let God be your guide on that. If that goes against your morals, then don't do it. Okay? But if there's things that you need to do that will help in that survival, and this is one of the ways to do it, it's something to consider. And very last, but absolutely not least, sleep. Get a good night's sleep, or a good day's sleep, right? Depending on when this happens. You need to be well rested. Take time to meditate. Take time to read a few passages out of the Bible. Take time to restore your soul, right? Hug your family. Listen to some music. Do these things that restore your soul, because those things also are going to give you the energy, the mental clarity, right? And the spiritual balance to face the SHTF. So I wanted to get, I know this is a much longer video than I would normally do, but we don't know when this will be the last video that we put out. So I wanted to get all of this information out to you so that you could take a look at where you are and prepare for what very easily and possibly could happen tomorrow. Okay? I hope this video helped. Please like and subscribe. Pray for the people in Ukraine. Pray for the world right now. God bless.